All right, now here we're back. We are on part 2. And I'm going to come up here and I think I'm going to add a little bit of this darker gray just right to this area and blend it. I want this area just a little darker. In part 1, we did the beak, the head, and we are working down his body. Now normally I would work all over the painting at once, but for this I'm just doing it one little area at a time. This has a little highlight to it, so I'm going to go ahead and put this rosy pink, let's see what's called pink portrait pink right here. I'm also going to put some right here as a highlight. Now I'm not trying to match exactly, not even going there with this, but I am trying to get the lights and the darks correct. Because if you get the lights and the darks correct, it doesn't really matter what colors you use if you are getting the correct values. Value is one of the most important things, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get the correct values. And I'm also going to take some of this gray up into here so that I can get some dark texture. And I think I like that. Yeah, I like how that looks. Let me pull it down some so you can see it a little better. I don't know if you can see it, but it really does add a little something extra down there. I'm just going to blend that in a bit. Also might add a little bit of white to this area. This is a really light area, so I want to lighten it up. And I'm just picking up that white that got over in the brown. I didn't want it to. So, and then just come back with a little brown and it's gone. And a little bit of that dark gray. All right, now we are still working on this tummy. I want to get some lighter color. Maybe I'll just take the white and bring it on down here and then blend it. This is his little leg going into the water, and it is lighter, and there's a little white spot there. A little more cream. I'm going to blend that with the cream. Blend the white with the cream so that it looks a little, I don't want it stark white. There's also some. I'm just lightly blending it. Come back in. There's a little shadow right here, so we're going to go ahead and put that back in. Fingers are filthy. I need to wash them before I mess up my little bird here. And I need some gray coming down here. Just like so. This needs to be a little bit darker too. I keep looking at my reference photo to see where I need to darken it up some as I'm going. And it's hard for me to talk and paint at the same time. I've never been able to do that, but I'm trying for you guys because I want to bring y'all some value. And I wanted to really test out these pastels, and I'm pleased with them. Now these are the handmade. They're the handmade soft pastel from, what did I say it was? Mungio. So. Oh, you can't even see. There we go. I got a little white streak here because there's some white. Some really pretty white right going here. There. Now this area is dark brown. It matches this, so we're going back to just like we did before with the black where I want it to be the darkest. And here it's really, really dark. So I'm going to put the black first, and then I'm going to come with the darkest brown I have in my fat pastels, my handmade pastels. All the way down into the water. And I'm going to put a little bit more of this black in there. I want it to be really dark. It is really dark on the bird. And in these areas it is actually lighter, so we're going to put a little bit of this first. And then we're going to mix some of the cream over it, just a little bit, and maybe some red brown, a little bit of this reddish brown. All right, now I'm going to smooth it. Now the one thing about this sanded paper is it will eat up your pastels pretty quick because, well, it's like painting on sandpaper, so it will eat up your areas really, really, really fast. I mean your areas. It'll eat up your pastels really, really fast, so just be aware of that. There's a feather, a white feather coming here, so I'm going to just go ahead and put that in while I got my white going on. I might even put a little white here to lighten this area up, and a little bit here, but it really needs some more of this. This will lighten that up and not be too white. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of this blue, this indigo, and I'm going to blend this top layer so that it is darker around the edges here, and I can't do that with my finger, so I'm actually using the pencil to blend it. And you can do that with pastels. That's one of the things. You put the soft pastel on the bottom, and then you can come back with a pastel pencil and blend it in and darken it up if you need to. I think I'm going to take the black for this area. Wait, that's not black. Where is my black? I'm going to go with the charcoal. This is a really, really dark area. Another dark area there. And then there's a little bit of pale. A pale highlight there, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And put a little darker in. There. So now we have a lot of it done. I think I'm going to add a little bit more pink. Pink over here, just a little bit. And that's that portrait pink. A little bit more here. Just so it blends a little better. Pick up this area over here that's just getting out of hand. Pick up some of this that's getting out of hand. Uh-oh, that way got out of hand. Now we're going to start on the wings. Well, I don't know. Maybe we're not. Hold on. I'm really not happy with this area here. Let's see if I got a gray that I can kind of blend that with. Let's try this gray. It is actually a sepia, but it looks gray to me. Let's try to blend that some. think that looks better. There we go. Let's see if I can get a few darker areas in there. This is violet oxide. And a little bit of indigo. And there's some. And then highlight it again. There. And now he is more highlighted here. And a little bit of white, just to really lighten that up some. Where's my chocolate? There. Now we're going to start on the wings. We're going to leave that alone for a little bit. We'll come back to it if we need to. So now we're going to start on those wings. And I'm going to actually start with white. Even though his wings are really pretty creamy, I'm still going to start off with white. Getting some of the more dark, a little bit of the darker areas in first. Trying to anyway. I'll come back with my white and get in those other areas. And I'm just doing the base right now. All of these are beautiful and white. Beautiful white feathers here. And I'm probably going to come back in with my pencils and make these more defined. Right, these are white. And as it goes out, it gets just a tad bit, what am I trying to say? It will get a tad bit more gray, grayish brown, but we're going to work in this area for right now. And I'm just using a brown earth color to sort of separate these little sections from each other. Just using a little darker yellow. It's I don't know, it says it's number 47. I'm gonna go with its darker yellow. I don't know what the color is. And I'm going over that brown because the brown is really too dark, but I wanted to get that darkness in there first. Like I said, if you go in with light first, you're going to lose all of your darkness. And that really needs to be in there. There's a little gray tip showing here, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And there's also some gray here, but it's actually the darker gray. Let's go with the darker gray. It's much darker right there. And then this is just fluff and yellow, fluff and yellow. Fluff and cream, really. And I'm calling my white fluff, but it just looks fluffy to me right there. So I'm just going to keep mixing those over top of each other until I get my desired fluffiness and whiteness. Now these feathers are just a little bit darker. It's more of a gray tone. Let's find a cooler gray. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go with this French gray, and it is 70. French gray 70. And also, do I have a white? Right down the vein of the feather is super white, so I'm just going to put that right down the middle. And then each side of the feather has a little grayness to it. And it gets lighter as it goes down. There we go. Get those shadows in. I hear you, boy. My sweet little dove is calling to me. Let's add a little bit more of this yellow in. And I'm really just taking the shadows and carving out, just carving out these feathers with the shadow work with a darker color. I'm going to take my white, sort of blend this, lighten it up a little bit and blend it. So we are just going to continue defining these feathers and blending them with this titanium white, blending it out. So that it looks pretty smooth. Hair's starting to look really pretty. Really fluffy, just like it's supposed to. And a little black there. We're just going to keep on with these wings and working on them. And then they get a little bit grayer as we go up. So we're going to start mixing some blue and grays. There. That's looking good. And now these feathers are even more gray. So we're just gonna add a little bit more of the gray in. Oops. Uh-oh. So now that we've got the basics in, I am going to speed this bad boy up some in the next part. So I'm just defining some of these little winglets with a little more darkness, and then we are going to speed this up. Just defining these feathers a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and blend them. This needs a little more white here. So I'm basically just blocking in areas where I want this color to be, but I'm going to have to blend it later. And I'm starting to define it with a little bit of this darker, oops, where's my, a little bit of darker color. This is graphite gray that I'm coming in here with. I'm just defining these feathers with it. Because all of these feathers have a little tip of gray on them. It's really pretty. Let me show you what I mean. See the gray in there. So we're just going to work that in there. And then in my next video, I am going to speed it up because you got the basics down, and I will see you in part 3.